Welcome to Closing Laps, a new Break Hard podcast with myself, Matt. You guys have seen me a bunch of times, but I am also joined by Cameron. You want to introduce yourself, Cameron?
Hey guys, my name's Cameron. Former pit crew member, longtime NASCAR fan, and been in the industry for about 4 or 5 years now. Or three,
Hap-
4 years.
Yeah, close enough. So, do you want to tell people how we ended up actually meeting the first time, real quick?
In the Daytona bathroom in the garage. What was
Yeah,
that, last year?
yeah, yeah. It was last
Yeah,
year. I think I was washing my hands, and you walked up behind me, and you're like, "Hey, man, really enjoy the content." And I was
yeah,
like, "Hey, this is the first time I met somebody in a bathroom before,
it,
so
it
um,
happens.
worked out well." And then saw you again at Daytona earlier this year,
Yeah,
which was always a good time. So I think kind of the concept for this, what you and I talked about, sort of closing laps, right? We'll kind of have like basically five to go. We'll do a rundown, five, four, three, two, one, and then kind of close it out with some rapid fire questions there at the
cool.
end. But we got to start off real quick with the Cup Series race at Michigan, a pretty entertaining Cup Series race at Michigan, especially by like Gen 7 standards.
Yeah,
Denny
for
Hamlin comes
sure.
out on top, but overall, I enjoyed that race a lot. On TikTok, I gave it a 91.
I mean, I think you're might be lowballing it with the 91, honestly. Like, yes, take the fuel saving aspect out of it at the end of the race, right?
Mhm.
And the action, the runs they were getting, the ability to pass,
That's the big one.
which is like in with the Gen 7 car you don't see, right?
Right.
And that alone, you take the fuel saving away was a heck of a race right there.
Yeah. So I probably for me, like the knock on it for me would have been stage one
Oh,
because
for sure.
nothing happened. Nothing happened in stage one. Yeah, William Byron took the lead, and then we saw Chris Buescher take the lead, which on track green flag passes for the lead, big fans. We're big fans of that. But there's still not much that happened in there. I think when I looked at it, the stage finished 10th place with 11 seconds back already. So stage one
I
was
didn't
maybe,
notice that.
yeah, maybe not the best
Yeah.
overall, but it was fine. I enjoy a fuel mileage race every now and then. Do I need it every week? No. But do
No.
I like the novelty of it when it happens? Like, yeah, I think you and I both kind of grew up through the same era of like pre-stage racing, and you would get some of those weird ones, especially at Michigan. And I mean, Mark Martin ended up winning a race there back in what, '09 after like three people ran out in front of him or something. So I
Yeah.
like the novelty of it, but now we're so precise on where the fuel number is at that it kind of takes that away. But
It does,
yeah,
but at the same time, like you get that strategy of it, like you get with other sports, right? You
yeah,
got to have that strategy, and that's what a lot of racing fans enjoy.
yeah. I don't mind. Yeah, I'm a big strategy person, especially seeing like the various different strategies we had in like stage two and really kind of there was multiple strategies there. And I saw Jeff Gluck tweet out that it kind of became like a road course race because we had varying different strategies and people flipping stages instead of going for the point, or some people going for points, some people just abandoning
Mhm.
points altogether there. And Austin Cindric in stage number two was trying to do that. He stayed out along with Austin Dillon and somebody else. I can't remember off the top of my head. And he came so close, like a lap and a half from winning that stage and stealing those points away. Ultimately, Byron wins that. But stage two was the most chaotic stage, I think, of the day,
For
especially with
sure.
that Bowman crash. That was a big time impact for him
I think that's the biggest impact I've seen with the Gen 7 car in general. I mean,
in a while. Yeah.
yeah. Corey LaJoy said it best on the post race show. When you see a 3,000 pound car come a foot off the ground, that's a massive impact.
It was, I mean, what Larson hitting Priest at, or Larson getting hit by Priest at Talladega. That was a big
Yeah.
time one. This was probably right up there with it in terms of frontal impact for it.
Mhm.
Happy to see like the whole crush zone and everything worked, how NASCAR went back and redesigned it, thankfully. But even Bowman got out afterwards and he said he thinks it's probably the biggest hit he's had in the Cup Series. And
Yeah.
thankfully he seemed okay. Like
Yeah.
hopefully through the week he doesn't have
We'll
anything
see.
lingering. Yeah.
Hopefully, we don't see the red eyes like we saw with Priest that one year.
The red eye, I was more worried about concussion. I didn't even think about just the sheer impact stop
Yeah.
of it as
Yeah.
well. The John Hunter Nemechek and Noah Gregson spinning out as well in stage number two. That
Joe,
was
John Hunter twice.
twice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. John Hunter got in the wall once. Noah spun out basically trying to avoid it. And then John Hunter spins himself out again from there. But ultimately, it was Austin Cindric staying out, trying to flip that stage, and then William Byron
Hmm.
passing him to go on to win stage number two. And Byron looked like the guy to beat once again today. He led 90 laps. I think on the post race show, they said that he's already led double the amount of laps this year than he led all of last year,
Yep.
which is a crazy number. I haven't gone back and looked at it, but at some point, he's got to close out and win one of these races. And I don't know when
Does
that's
he
going to
though?
happen.
I mean,
I
if you
mean,
look at it,
yeah.
yes, he's already locked in. They're doing it on a, they said it on the broadcast. They're doing it on, hey, we've won a race, we're
Mhm.
locked in. We can take the strategy and see what if, right? Like,
It is a
who
big what
cares? You're
if.
locked in.
I think it's so funny how you probably heard it too. Steve Letarte kept being like, he won the Daytona 500. This is what you do when when you win the Daytona 500. I'm like, Steve, it pays the same amount of points. Like he made it seem like winning the Daytona 500 was like this clear path like through the playoffs, and I'm like, I get it. Like it's
30
a good
more
thing
points,
too.
right?
Yeah, yeah, it's not a double points race. Maybe he should go out there and win another one just to have like some
Extra
insurance
points.
because
Yeah.
yeah, at this point you have Bell, Hamlin, and Larson all with 3 wins now. In terms of playoff points, like he's falling a little bit behind when it comes to seeding, but eventually, if you run up front that much, you're gonna win.
Did
You
you
would think.
hear Junior say that he is the number one driver at Hendrick right now?
Yeah, he's Dale has said that on his podcast last week too, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with it yet because Larson still has won 3 races since Byron won his one. And don't get me wrong, Byron's got a ton of speed, but that five team, there's nothing to say that they won't just go out to Mexico next week and just win the
Dominate.
race. Yeah, dominate there as well.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the five team. They can dominate a race and close out a race, where
Hmm.
I think the 24 struggles at times with closing out a race. Coke
Yeah.
600, Darlington, and today wasn't necessarily on them as much as it was like they were just limited by fuel strategy and
Yeah.
they really didn't have a choice on what to do.
Have you seen the video that Bozy posted about the 11's last stop?
No, I'll have to go back and look at it.
Where the fueler rode it all the way out and they got
Oh,
it
did
out at
he?
the very last second. It was pretty impressive.
Well, guess what everybody's going to be practicing
Oh,
next week. Yeah.
trust me, they practice it already.
Okay, good. You would
They
know. You would
practice
know.
it. Yeah. And
Uh,
the Jackman's there to make sure that can doesn't go down pit road.
I
So,
saw him do that earlier in the race because somebody tweeted out
mhm.
a screenshot of him still being pretty much engaged as the car
Yep.
was starting to roll.
Yep. It's
Hey.
called riding it out. They ride them out and they try to get every last ounce. I mean, you have to when you're changing tires in 8, 9 seconds. You got to get
Yeah.
everything you can.
That's the struggle now, right? Like, so you're changing tires
Hmm.
faster than you can fuel the car. So you have to sacrifice fuel
Yep.
basically for it. And I know a lot of people complain about like Daytona and Talladega and how they become these track position races, but that's literally the reason why is
Hmm.
because we're spending so little time on pit road that you have to make that decision here now.
Yep.
So yeah, it's so interesting how tire changing and like the technology around changing tires has gone up and escalated so fast, but like fueling we're still doing it the same way we've been doing it for 50 years. Like
Yep. Well, and
that's
what people don't realize is some teams, I'm not going to name which teams, but some teams actually have bigger cans and are because if you have a bigger can, you're pushing out more fuel faster.
mm,
So you're getting fuel
you're
faster.
getting that the
Hmm.
gravity fed is working a little bit harder. Interesting.
Hmm.
All right, stage number three, we had an unfortunate death in stage number three. You want to say
I
what
want
happened?
I wanted we talked about it yesterday. I am a Hocevar fan.
Oh, I
And
wasn't even talking about that yet. I was talking about what
you're
happened
talking
with
about the
Ty.
squirrel?
Yeah.
You're talking about the squirrel?
Yeah, Ty Dillon unfortunately unalived a squirrel in
Unalive the
his pit
squirrel.
box.
Yeah. No, and they actually colleague actually posted the helmet cam footage
Oh,
of from the rear tire changer looking right at it. It's you can't see any like gnarly things or
right.
anything like that, but
Not like
poor
the
squirrel. The
not
Alvin
like
and the Chipmunks remake's not gonna be the same without it.
he is unfortunately no longer with us. I'm actually kind of glad we didn't get the gory details like we did with Josh Berry when he hit that bird at Talladega and it was just guts all over the
Yeah.
onboard camera.
Yeah.
Oh, that was brutal. But yeah, talking about the other one, Carson
Yeah.
Hocevar, the death of his chance of winning on
Yeah.
Sunday.
I mean it
3 weeks in a row, he's had a chance to win.
what's crazy to think is like we've all seen the tweets of, oh, he's going to replace Bowman, and oh, he's going to replace Bowman. He's the next one in that car. And I don't know why he wouldn't be,
Yeah.
right? Like he's taken Spire, who granted Spire is a great team and they have a lot of influence from Hendrick. And but
Emphasis on a lot.
oh, 100%.
I don't think
100%.
people realize how much influence there is. And one thing, real quick, last week, Chad Knaus went over and congratulated Carson after his second place finish at
Yeah.
Nashville. People were really shocked by that. You should not be shocked by that
No,
whatsoever.
not at all.
Those two teams work hand in hand.
Hand in hand.
Chad Knaus is on their pit boxes pre-race half the time checking in. So like
Yeah.
they are
Like
very much
Mr.
together.
Hendrick and Jeff are like really, really, really good friends.
Yes. The,
And so they work hand in hand.
mhm.
But even without, before they worked hand in hand too, and no disregard to Corey LaJoy or anybody else that's been at Inspire,
Fire.
but
Yep.
they haven't done what Hocevar was doing. You and I have talked about it in the past that Hocevar and Zane Smith moved in together, and yes, Zane Smith's having a decent year. I think he finished what, eighth today?
Yeah,
Eighth,
somewhere in
ninth,
there.
something like that, which is great for him. But and to get if you compare them, Hocevar's killing it.
No, he definitely. Yeah, Zane finished seventh today. Yeah,
Seventh, yeah,
yeah. I
great run
wonder.
for him.
I wonder what Zane would do in like a Hendrick car, essentially, or a team with heavy
Okay,
Hendrick.
but
Yeah. No, no, I'm
front
with
row and
you.
Penske are the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You would know. You came over from there, so yeah.
Yeah, front row. Literally, like, so when I was on the 38 last year, they would bring their cars over to Penske to use the red eye system,
Yeah.
right? And they would, their open books. I mean, I don't know if their books are still open, but at the beginning of the year last year, their books were completely open to those teams, right?
Mhm.
So it's the same type of thing.
Yeah, definitely is. So when it comes to Hocevar, does he win this year? Or is this a Casey Kane type of situation in his rookie year where he came so close and it's like he's going to get there and then it just doesn't happen?
So before we did this podcast, I was watching the Rowdy documentary that
Okay.
started right after the race and
Yep.
all that stuff. And it said at the time 11 people or 12 people had won in their rookie season, and then Kyle Busch won in his rookie season, right?
Yeah.
He will win this year.
You think so? I
100%.
My only like reservation with it, if you're gonna ask me like who's gonna get their first win, like who's gonna get that first win out of like the group of drivers we have right now, I would probably say Hocevar at this point. My
Hmm.
only reservation is the fact that he's been in contention now 3 weeks in a row and just hasn't closed it. And
But
I worry
not
about
of
it
his
because
doing.
true,
Not of his
100%,
doing.
100%. My only concern with that is like you don't get these chances very often. And
No.
now maybe he will. Maybe he'll continue to keep getting them. But I worry about like that, you ride momentum. And I worry about that going down at Mexico. And then after that we go to Pocono, could be a place
I
for him.
think he could have a good week at Pocono,
Yeah.
right? I don't get me wrong, he could do very well at Mexico. I don't think he will,
No.
right?
He's certainly not in my like top 10 guys I would
No,
pick.
not at
No.
all, right? But he could definitely have he doesn't have to go out and lead laps, but if he finishes top 15, top 20, that's a good week for him,
Super. Yeah.
right? And then that's riding momentum. It's not great momentum, but it's still riding momentum. And then let's say he goes out and runs a top 10 next week and then goes into Pocono and who knows, right?
Pulls a Denny
It's
Hamlin.
another one of those Denny Hamlin type situations, right? Where
Yeah.
he won what, five in a row or something like that his
He
beginning of his
won
career.
he swept the Pocono races as a rookie. So,
Yeah.
those were his first, I believe those were his first wins. Yeah, because he won the Bud Shootout as like his first NASCAR win. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So then it comes down to the end of the race there. Hamlin, Byron's leading. Byron knows he's short on fuel, but his team's basically like, hey, send it. And if we
Send it.
run out, we run out because we already are locked in the playoffs. Hamlin's team is like, hey, we're a half lap to the good. Now we're a quarter lap to the good, but just go ahead and go for it.
Let's go.
And it 100%, as soon as they told him to go, like he picked off Larson, he picked off Byron, and then that was that.
I'm honestly surprised Larson didn't have more in the like more to
Same.
give.
I
he was
thought that he would
talking
have
in the
pushed it.
post race. He was talking in the post race show, and he even said like, "Yeah, we really didn't have the speed today, and they didn't have the he didn't have control over his car." Which, okay, get it, but it's Larson, and I was expecting him to come up and be there at
Right.
the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah. Rise of the occasion. And
Yeah,
then ultimately that doesn't happen. Chris Buescher made a huge push there at the end. Like that race goes two more laps. Chris Buescher probably wins that race because he was closing pretty quickly.
it's close
Yeah.
for sure.
And who's to know? I guess Denny had plenty of fuel because he did a burnout and drove to victory lane still. So like, oh, he still
He
got
ran
stuck.
out. He
Oh, did
did
he
run
run out when he
out.
got stuck?
Hmm.
Okay. I wasn't sure if he just got stuck down there or if he ran
I
out.
think he ran out. I'm not
Um,
100% sure, but he could have just got
Regardless, he had
stuck.
enough fuel to do a burnout. So like
Yeah.
worked out pretty well for him. And then you had Ty Gibbs in third. And I tweeted out before the race, Spider from Barstool was like, this today's Ty Gibbs' day. And if any day was going to be Ty Gibbs' day in terms of tracks that the Cup Series goes to, Michigan was going to be that day for him. He's run really well there in the three starts he's had prior to this.
Hmm.
He was fastest in 10 lap average yesterday in practice, qualified pretty decently, dropped like a rock at the start of this race. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
so much for that one. And then
Yeah.
he drove back through, like good perseverance day for him. I know he's not a fan favorite or anything like that, but like pretty resilient day from him, and didn't get that first win. And his post race interview too, super long. That was like the longest post race interview that
So
they did.
long.
I
Did you see
like
the people that were standing right behind him that were taking pictures?
No, I was listening to it while I was walking the dogs after the race, and I got to this point, like our, the turnaround point on our dog walk, and I was like, we're still talking to Ty Gibbs. Like, what are we doing here? Um,
So they
Good.
had him. It was literally so it was Letarte, Trevor Bayne, and him sitting down underneath like the suite area, like
Weird.
right off pit road.
Yeah, because they had those pit road suites. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're right off pit road. And there's literally like right at the end, there's four people that just walk up randomly behind and they're like trying to get onto pit road and turn around and go, oh crap, and just stand there. And then like start taking pictures. And I guess someone told them they had to move and they went, ding, and like jolted out.
People that are like always try to get behind the camera crack me up because I think that's when I'm on pit road or anywhere, like that's the last place I want to be. Like I'm trying to avoid
Yeah.
cameras at all cost. Doesn't help that I'm tall, so like you kind of pick me out
Mhm.
of a crowd
Oh yeah.
anywhere. But yeah, it's always funny. So wrapping up, Denny Hamlin picks up his third win of the year. Ties him now with Larson and Bell for most wins this season. Only the 10th driver ever to win a race after his 700th Cup Series start, which is kind of a cool thing for him. All-time wins leader now at
Oh,
Gibbs. Yeah.
Gibbs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
So
is to think about. That's crazy.
here's the crazy part. He passed Kyle Busch for the all-time wins there. He was at Gibbs before Kyle Busch even joined. And and now he's just now passing Kyle like 3 years after Kyle left.
It makes you remember actually how good
Yeah,
Kyle used to be.
yeah, it used to be. And that's the unfortunate part. We have to say used to be now.
But is it Kyle or is it
It's
the situation?
we know the answer to that one. It's not Kyle. It's welcome North Carolina. And to their credit, they have started to get more speed up there. Just not race winning speed. Yeah, because he finished actually he had a bad finish today, didn't he?
No.
No, he finished eighth.
Yeah, I was about to say he finished eighth.
Finished eighth. Um,
Bubba fourth.
yeah,
Great day for him.
great day for him. That mustache is going to stay there. Ross in sixth, Zane Smith in seventh, Ryan Preece and Brad Keselowski in ninth and 10th. So all three RFK cars, top 10.
It's a great
Great
day.
day.
They're
Great
the
day.
only Ford team that had a good day.
Valid point.
I mean, I
Well,
guess front
Zane.
row with Zane, but other than
But
that, like
Penske was nowhere to be heard of
nowhere.
basically
I
all
mean,
day.
you had Cindric in that second stage, and then he fell off and ended like two laps down or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
And then the Blaney
Barry,
spin.
the Blaney spin, and then you had Barry finish 12th. He ran like seventh all day. So,
Yeah,
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 probably should have had a top 10 out of it, but at least they didn't wreck for once. So that's a positive there. All right, let's move on. Next topic, Michigan truck race. We can touch on this real quick because I did a video about it.
yeah.
But you and I talked about Stuart Friesen snaps a 72 race winless streak. People on the internet were like, oh, he wouldn't have won that race if it wasn't chaotic. I don't
Doesn't
care.
matter.
put himself in position to win. Like,
Yeah, he won.
yeah, he
Who
won.
cares?
That's what pisses me off when people are like, "Oh, Austin Dillon doesn't deserve to win," or whoever, and it's like, he crossed the finish line first. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
who
that's the whole goal
cares?
here. He did it first before anybody
Like
else. So,
it's racing.
yeah, like you might not like him, but it's still how it played out. Yeah, that Michigan truck race was chaotic at the end. Really good battle between Corey Heim and Carson Hocevar, two dudes
Yeah,
that just don't like each other, but put on really
a
good racing.
wonderful show.
Didn't hit each other. Stage number one, I tweeted out that Heim was just toying with Hocevar,
Toying,
and he was
toying.
as soon
He
as
did it in the second stage too.
yeah he did just ride behind him, and then when it came time to capitalize, just pulls out, passes him
Yeah.
with ease, and goes on to win. And it's like, damn, that 11 truck is
I'll have a question for you
hooked
on
up.
that later.
Okay. All right. And then we had the big pile up on the restart, old tires, people spinning. And then that's where Corey Heim got taken out. Gio
That
Ruggiero.
was that whole the fact that they didn't even make it to the line.
They were
And
barely in the
so
box.
I was on the 44 this year. All those guys, I love those guys. Heartbreak for them because I
Yeah.
mean, they honestly probably should have won that race. Um, and
At the
then
very least should have been contending.
yeah,
Well, yeah, you're right. If Heim gets taken out and then Hocevar got his restart violation, Ross Chastain walks away with that win.
walks away.
Yeah.
Even I think even towards the end, if Heim doesn't get taken out, it's definitely them fighting for it.
Yeah.
But at least they're in contention. And that car's been going, or that truck's been going great all year, no matter who's in it.
Yeah. No, those
Right?
trucks have been very fast this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very fast. So heartbreak for them getting spun. Literally, his tires got lifted off the ground and almost saved it. I thought it
Tim.
was crazy that both of them on the front row got lifted. And
Yeah. Where are we going? Like, what was,
yeah,
I know, I understand the rush here because they're trying to push each other into turn one and get
yeah,
that run to go down the backstretch, but you got to make it there
we
first.
got to get there
Yeah.
first, people. Come on.
Then on the next restart, I was shocked. You texted me at the same time that I had the realization that Frankie Muniz was lining up P3 on the
Three.
restart. And then our favorite movie star forgot what gear he was in and restarted in third gear. And for
I
anybody that,
didn't realize he forgot. I didn't realize that he started in third gear until we talked about it this morning,
yeah,
and I was like, "Oh
oh,
gosh,
that's
that's
why.
not a good look."
Yeah, anybody that's ever driven a manual, it's like trying to drive off from the stoplight in third gear. Your street car's probably going to stall out unless you rev the piss out of it. But
So my very first vehicle was a manual, and
yeah,
the very first time I went out by myself, I started it in third gear, killed it, and then got it going in third gear. So I
oh,
know
good,
his
good,
pain.
good. I drive my daily's a manual, and every now and then when I'm setting the stoplight, like I'm usually pretty good about popping it into neutral. Every now
hmm
and then I'll forget and like leave it in gear, and then when the light changes, I'll go to let the clutch out, and I like you immediately
Oh,
slam the clutch in
crap.
trying to save it, and you're like, damn it, look like a fool. But yeah,
Yeah.
Stuart Friesen wins, locks himself into the playoffs. Uh, people just didn't get my like whole joke in my video yesterday where I was like, why do we sing "Oh Canada" for Stuart Friesen? That's why we sing. And they're like, no, it's because we're close to Canada. I'm like, I know, but like he's Canadian. That's the point here. I do love the commenters at
It's the
times.
internet.
It's the internet. All right, moving on. Big announcement that happened today. The worst kept secret, like I said, and I think you and I were talking about this. It's like knowing that you're going to surprise party, but you still have to act surprised when it happens. Ram officially announced that they are coming back to NASCAR in 2026 with a Truck Series effort. Obviously, they have plans with Dodge to come back to the Cup Series. They said as early as 27. I would err on the side of maybe 2028 for that, but depends on who their partner is and everything else that goes along with that.
Definitely does.
Um, they didn't make any driver or team announcement today. There's definitely their CEO said that they haven't talked to any drivers or teams yet, and
Right.
yeah, they're looking at
Right.
4 teams for Daytona. I can tell you right now, they have talked to drivers and teams,
I
and
can tell you they already have a
yes,
full team,
yeah,
and they have already started making trucks
yes, yes.
for said team. And I
What?
think you and I have talked about it,
Yeah,
but we're not going to say it, obviously, but they've
no.
definitely already started. And to say that here's my thing is, do they want 4 trucks or 4 full teams?
So that was my question too, because if they want 4 teams, like 4 different organizations. That's a lofty goal. And I don't think that
Yeah,
they're going to get to that without them starting up like a factory team, kind of like the Evernham deal
yeah.
back in '01. If they want 4 trucks, they're definitely going to get that done because,
It's probably already done.
yeah, because the one you and I, the talks that we've heard, there's you could do 4 right there if you wanted to. There's all,
That building's already
yeah,
running. So yes.
there's another name that has come up, and I don't know if they're involved with that team or if this is going to be a separate team. But like, if you're looking for 4, you got your 4, and I'll
You're gonna have
text
to
you
tell
about
me
it.
that one off
I'll
air.
text you about it. Yeah. But yeah, so they keep talking about like, oh, we don't have this. You do. Like,
You
let's be
do.
honest here.
You do.
And for Dodge, like, first off, I think we got to break hearts here. They're not running Hemis. Truck Series uses a spec Ilmore engine. It's an
Yeah,
LS
it's
based
Ilmore
engine.
Chevy engine,
Yeah,
right?
so
Like,
it is what it is here. For
go
them, this is a
Penske.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Rogers just cashing checks from everybody these days.
Yeah.
Um, for them, it's a low cost marketing spend because
Hmm.
all they have to do is basically they design the nose of the truck, which we knew
Looks
about back in
beautiful.
Daytona. Yeah, great looking truck. And then from there, the rest of the body's pretty standard overall. We got pretty standard chassis are already made
I mean,
from,
they're making them, but
yeah,
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 but they still look good.
yeah. So this isn't like a cup effort where they're gonna have to come in and develop an engine and everything like
No.
that. Like this is pretty low cost for them. I hope that they have a good performance next year, but um
I,
it all
I
comes down to
think
who
with
they're
the
getting to drive.
team that you and I are talking about, they should, just depending on who the drivers are, because
Yeah, I think that's where it
we
comes down to.
yeah, it's just going to come down to who those drivers are. But even if that team has 2 full-time drivers in an all-star truck,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it definitely. But the problem is an all-star truck's going to be usually your cup drivers that are coming down. They're not going to be able to have that.
That's what I was gonna say. Who's gonna be the all-star driver at
Yeah.
this? I would say that I think you could maybe see some all-stars not necessarily being cup drivers showing up in there, like short track all-stars showing up in there
Okay.
based off of some other conversations I have
I could see
been a
that.
part of. Yeah. But we'll see how all that's going to play out. But in addition to the Dodge announcement, we also had Adam Stern out here from Sports Business Journal saying that NASCAR is very close to landing a 5th manufacturer,
Honda.
which Honda, yeah, let's be
Yeah.
honest here.
It's
We're not
Honda.
kidding. When the Dodge announcement happened back at Daytona, the person who I was talking to, who is the guy to know all of this stuff, he said, I was actually surprised that it wasn't Honda first. And I was like,
I
oh,
genuinely was.
yeah,
I was genuinely, you and I talked about it at Daytona,
yeah,
that we were both genuinely surprised that it was Dodge before Honda.
yeah, 100%. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the worst kept secret that if they do come in, it's going to be Honda. But if it is Honda that comes in, we're talking about a full scale change to the way everything is done in the Cup Series in NASCAR because they are
Mhm.
not building a V8 engine. They are going to build
No.
a turbo V6 engine, which introduces NASCAR fans to balance of performance. And
Mhm.
that will absolutely drive everybody insane. And I'm here for it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I mean, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how it works.
Yep.
And my question is if we have 5 OEMs, there's no way we stay at 36 charters
No. So yeah, I mean, we have to go up to 40 because there's
easily. If
four
not, go
charters.
back to 43.
Yeah, but then you're gonna have all these people out here that are like, so no open cars can enter, and then it's gonna be like, I don't know, dude. Like we've got 43 guaranteed to show up. End up happening, and I'm kind of okay with it. But like we just talked about, balance of performance, that is going to be interesting because you're gonna have to make a turbo V6 and a naturally aspirated V8 be the same.
Do we though?
You don't know, you don't. I shouldn't say that. You don't have to, but you have to make them in terms of you have to make the cars in terms of performance be equal, which is what we
No,
see
that's not
happen
my
in some.
question. The question is Toyota no longer has a V8.
Mm-mm.
I know they had one when they came in, but they no longer have a V8 and they're still running the V8.
Yeah,
So could it be like they just say, "Hey, we're running a V8 for NASCAR"?
they could, but they have said before that they have no interest in building a V8. So I guess they could like if they wanted to just like rebadge an Ilmore
Yeah,
engine, yeah, absolutely, could easily do that, or like a Cosworth or something like that.
whatever, right?
Yeah, but I think they want to be able to say like, do you know this is going to piss Ford people off, but do you know how much Ford really wishes they could run an EcoBoost V6 turbo in
A
NASCAR?
lot.
a lot.
Oh, for sure.
Because from a marketing standpoint, they sell more of those than they do their V8s.
Yeah.
They would love to be able to be like, Joey Logano wins the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series championship in his EcoBoost Ford
Boost.
Mustang.
Oh,
They would
100%.
love to say that.
100%.
Yeah.
And it comes down to the actual ability to say, hey, this is what we're driving on a daily basis,
Yep. Yeah.
right? Like it's the not obviously it's not going to be the same car because they look completely different, but like it's still stock car racing.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, that's how it all started, right?
Yeah.
Like
100%.
that's how it started. Is yes, they were V8s. Yes, it was, oh, we're power, we're power, we're power. I drive a four-cylinder truck now,
Yeah.
right? Like that has more power than a V8.
Right. Yeah. I have a twin
So
turbo V6, more
yeah,
power than pretty much every naturally aspirated V8 out there. Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Right? Like they're we have the technology now that it's going to be interesting to see how they do it because those twin turbos, once they get going, now they might not qualify as well,
Yeah.
but once they get going, they're going to take off.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, if anybody's concerned or wondering how it's going to look, just go watch an IMSA race because you have naturally aspirated V8s, you have single turbo, twin turbo cars racing there, or even the 24 hours of Le Mans happening this upcoming weekend. Perfect example. Sit down and watch that,
Yep.
and you'll see the difference because your naturally aspirated V8s, the Cadillacs, are going to be more powerful in certain areas of track versus your turbo cars. And that's
Yep.
just is what it is. The Cadillac has more torque, but when the turbos get spooled up and they start going, and the lag is basically non-existent now in them,
No, it is. Man.
they are so fast. So yeah, you can kind of see where it goes, but ultimately they're all going to be relatively around the same pace.
Yeah.
Just they're going to be better at one end of the track versus the other.
And one's going
Uh,
to sound better and the other one's going to sound like a whining.
yeah, exactly. 100%. Last thing real quick on the OEM topic and sort of manufacturers and everything like that. I did hear this week that the new Chevy body has made its way to production, maybe. Or at least has been passed around amongst the teams to be approved on. So
What?
that's
This is
happening.
news.
But it's going to be an iteration of what we already have. So don't expect a new body. Expect just a evolution of what we
Like,
currently have.
what are we doing?
I know.
Man, that like give the people what they want, put it in a Cadillac,
I know. I know.
have it be
From
the Cadillac. That thing is beautiful.
I know.
And it
I got
back to
one.
what we were just talking about,
Yeah.
it's what people can buy.
As much as I want, so I I have a Blackwing, and I would love to see it on the racetrack. Like,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I've never owned. I will say my first car, 1984 Monte Carlo SS. That's the only car I've ever owned that actually was a race car at some point or was
Yeah.
on a racetrack. I would love to see my car on a racetrack. At the same
Yeah.
time, I know Cadillac is going to kill off the platform in 2 years. So does it make sense to put all that effort in to switch it over just for in 2 years for us to be
To be
right
able to
back to
do
where
it
we,
again.
yeah, yeah. So that bums me out. But yeah, I
One
would love
last
to see it.
question
Yeah.
before we go to the next thing. If Honda comes in and says, "Hey, we're running a twin turbo V6," do you think Ford does?
Yeah. Yeah.
You think they will?
I think they will. I think you'll see Chevy stay with their V8 because they just put a lot of money into building a new V8 plant,
Yep.
like $800 million. Toyota, I think, would love to go to a twin turbo V6. Dodge comes back in, they're just going to run a naturally aspirated V8. Like, that's just what they're going
Here's
to do.
the question though. If we're able to run twin turbo V6s, can we run supercharged V8s?
That's going to be, well, that's the thing. It's got to equal out in terms of power. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a tough one. I would love imagine Dodge returns and they're like, we want to run the Hurricane, their new their turbo six cylinder. Is it an inline maybe? I can't remember if it is,
It's
but
a inline six.
that's what I thought it
But
was. Yeah.
or they're bringing back the Hemi,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
The CEO said that they're probably going to bring back that Hellcat,
Oh yeah. That's
right?
yep.
Okay, do they bring out a Hellcat engine and put that in it?
Just have the Hellcat branding on it now. Which they absolutely would do. Like if you're
Oh
bringing
yeah,
back the Charger with a naturally aspirated V8 in it, you have to bring back the Hellcat platform
you
or
have to.
model trim at least. And then for the Xfinity series, then you just run that as like Scat Pack or whatever else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You run an Xfinity Scat Pack. The Cup will be the Hellcat, and then you run the Truck Series. If they
TRX.
bring it back, you bring the TRX.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. You're welcome. We figured it all out.
We
So,
figured it out for you, people.
all right. Moving on, two to go. Michigan, good again. I
Makes me
think it is.
sad.
It makes you sad
Makes me sad
because of Fontana.
because of Auto
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah.
Because if we had two of those races, that makes the schedule that much better.
I think people forget we used to have four of these races.
Mm-hmm.
California and Michigan both used to have two dates.
Mm-hmm.
California used to be a 500 miler on Labor Day weekend.
Which was awesome.
It took forever sometimes though.
But
Shout
it
out to
was
LA Sadler. It was
awesome.
awesome. LA Sadler won one of those races, one of his
Yeah.
three cup wins. Um, yeah,
That's
it
where
bums
Kyle
me out
Busch
about
got
Auto
his
Club.
first win.
Yeah, Auto Club.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a weird stat today. Michigan has only ever had two first-time winners.
Doesn't surprise me. It's a hard track.
It's a hard track. Do you know who the two first-time winners were? Trivia.
Nope.
One of them's a top cup driver now. Kyle Larson picked up his first win there back with Ganassi
Okay.
in 2016, I think. And then
Yeah.
the other one, Dale Jarrett.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Not what I would have
wild.
expected, but
No,
um,
if you would have said like junior, I would
yeah.
have probably said okay because like we know where he got his first win, but
Yeah.
like if you would have said junior, he was always raced really well there,
I'm pretty
right?
sure Junior got both of his first wins in Bush and Cup, both at Texas,
Mm-hmm.
which is very odd. I guess it's
Because
kind of like,
after that, he sucked there.
yeah, terrible. Ran into the grass. Like it's just been bad ever since that. But yeah, no, I think Michigan post repave, which happened in 16, I think 16 or
You're
17,
right.
one of those
You're right.
post repave, post putting PJ1 on the racetrack, it finally has become racy again. We
Mm-hmm.
have four different lanes at least that you can run.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun racetrack to go to. Again, I know people are going to be like, we should go here twice a year because look how great the crowd was. No, 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 no. We're going to go
No,
here once a year. The crowd was
because the
good.
crowd will stay the same.
Yeah, exactly. The crowd was good because we have one race here. Michigan, much like Pocono, used to be one of those races where we would go to, and then like 6 weeks later, we'd be right back there again. It was very short time in between them. And
Yeah.
I think that really hurt ticket sales. But yeah, for them, no rain this weekend either.
Which is crazy because that's where I got my first cup race. I actually pitted Joey at
Yeah.
Michigan for my first ever cup race when Busher won a couple years ago. And
23. Yeah.
yeah, 23
Yeah.
and rain out. I think last year was a rain out.
Yep. Yeah. Last year was
Um
affected by rain. Yeah.
yeah, or affected by the rain, but it was a beautiful night, a beautiful day there.
Yeah.
Um need all three series.
Yes. 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 Yes.
We talked
100%.
about this earlier, right? Like
Yep.
you're in Michigan. It's the heart of everything, right? Like that's where Chevy is. That's where Ford is. That's where all of them are, right? I'm
Yep.
pretty sure Dodge is there too,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So they're all there. Why are we not running all four series? Because ARCA goes too. Why are we not doing it? Like it is a disservice to one of the series every year.
100%. So Xfinity raced there last year, not racing there this year. And the only reason I assume they're not racing there, and I haven't asked anybody, is because they wanted to get travel for Mexico
For
down.
Mexico,
Yeah. Which,
which is a whole nother fiasco in itself.
so hang on a second on the Mexico thing. I'll go back to that in a second because I learned something that I'm actually glad that they did it. But so I assume that's why they didn't go there. But you're right. We could easily run a doubleheader on Saturday, trucks at noon, Xfinity
Yep.
at 4, and then have that because Xfinity cars raced super well there
Do
last
it
year.
on Friday night.
They don't have
Do
lights.
do ARCA in the afternoon because who
We can
cares?
we can start ARCA at noon.
Yes. Start ARCA at noon and then start Xfinity or truck at
Outside of
4.
Corey Heim and Butterbean, that ARCA race was cheeks. It was
Yeah.
terrible.
I
It
didn't even
was.
watch it. I'm not even lying to you. I didn't even turn it on.
I went to the Reds game and I looked at it on my phone and I was like, I'm not going to bother with this. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Well,
glad I
you
didn't.
were at a Reds game, so it's about the same kind of
Same.
action there for you.
Hey, one did get rained out, but still ended up winning the next day. So at least we had that going for us. On the Mexico thing, real quick, they sealed up the haulers at Michigan this afternoon. U.S. Customs did, so they can breeze through when they get
Yep.
to the border. Which that is a whoever at NASCAR came up with that idea, good move on their part because that makes the travel so much better.
So much easier. And then on top of that, like, so for the pit crew side of things, all the crews are flying down together,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So when the crews put in their stuff, they either had to pick to fly private or commercial, because not everybody flies private
Yep.
to go to the races. But they had to choose to fly private or commercial, and they're all on the same flights, right?
Smart.
And they're all going down together. And I'm pretty sure the Xfinity teams are all going down on Thursday and not leaving till Sunday.
Oh, I didn't think they were leaving until Monday.
I think the Xfinity teams are leaving Sunday
Oh,
and
and
the
Cup's
Cup
leaving
teams are
Monday.
leaving Monday,
Got it. Okay.
right? So, and they're all at a resort,
Yeah.
right? But it's really hilarious to. I saw a tweet earlier where the hauler drivers are having to drive from Michigan all the way down there, and someone said, "Yeah, but it costs money to put 900 horsepower into
Yeah,
the
I saw that too.
car."
People are freaking out about this drive to Mexico, about it being 35 hours. Are we forgetting that it's 40 hours from Concord to Sonoma?
To Sonoma.
Everybody's like, this drive is just not worth it. Why are we sending people down there? It's like, buddy, we go further in
We
this
go further
country.
than this.
Yeah.
I mean, Fontana was what, 38 hours,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
No,
Like,
it's just as long. It's
yeah.
so long. And then we get to go from Mexico. And guess what? Everybody gets to drive to Long Pond, Pennsylvania. I, I want to
At least
say,
they get to stop in Concord on their way up, right? Like,
I get, yeah, there's a plus side to it. Whoever designed the layout for like the next few weeks, they don't care about truck drivers. They just do not.
no.
Because we're
Oh,
going,
don't get me started about this year's schedule, because if you do truck Xfinity, if you're a pit crew member, which most of them do both truck and Xfinity,
yeah,
there's no off week.
no.
None.
Well, no, yeah, because you had Rockingham in there.
Hmm.
So, yeah, unless you were going to get somebody to cover for
Yep,
you,
there's not a single off week for the truck and Xfinity pit crews.
none whatsoever. The oh, okay. I feel bad for the Xfinity schedule. I also always feel bad for the Xfinity guys more than the Cup guys. I don't know why, because I'm always just like, Cup, you're the top. You got to deal with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Xfinity is going to go from, well, they have their next Mexico, Pocono, Atlanta, Chicago, Sonoma, Dover the next weekend, and then to Indianapolis. So we're driving all the way across the country to drive all the way back across the country
Cross
to drive
country.
halfway across the country.
So they'll actually, what it was, what, Sonoma, then Indy?
Sonoma to Dover, Dover to Indy.
I bet you they put the cars
Yeah,
in for Sonoma, for Dover, and take it that way.
absolutely. They're gonna have to.
They're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. All right, last lap. Let's go in. What rapid fire questions do we have for
All
today?
right, let's pull them up here. I'm gonna start with the good ones, and some of these. So I watched the Earnhardt documentary. So some of these,
Mm,
two of these came from that. Just little thoughts off of it, right?
all right.
So, but the first one is, if you're Toyota and you're sitting there and you're watching Legacy Motor Club
Motor Club. Yep.
run in the back of the pack every single week, right? Okay, we're all associating Corey Heim with going to 2311.
Yep.
Why is Corey Heim not going to Legacy next year?
Um, I think it's a twofer. So I will say this real quick. Legacy has gotten better over like the last 4 weeks. They've been really good. Eric Jones, P11 finish today.
Did he
They
get P11?
Yeah, they qualified pretty decent. I think the last 3 weeks they've had one of their cars in the top 10. So by legacy standards, good.
That's very good.
In terms of the Corey Heim thing, he's locked in at 2311 Racing. Like he has a long-term deal with them.
Yeah.
If I'm 2311 Racing, do I want to farm him out? You know, basically Trackhouse with Zane Smith putting him
With
over at
Zane, yeah,
Spire,
yeah.
or do I want to hold on to him? Part of me was like, screw it, let's farm him out because he deserves to be in the Cup Series right now, and
He
he can
and
elevate
he'd
that program.
probably do better than both of them.
Yeah. At the same time, you run that risk of putting him into a situation where he can't succeed just because that team's not ready to succeed. And do you want to like hurt the confidence with that? But at the same time, leaving him in the Truck Series, he can win. He should win every race.
Yeah.
He just ends up getting taken out half the time
Yeah.
because he's got idiots racing around him sometimes.
So, and we've talked about it that him going into Xfinity next year probably is what they're gonna do, but
Yeah.
like he's gonna be on a second tier Xfinity team because he can't go to Gibbs.
People are like, oh, I think he's going to hop in Hamlin's car when Hamlin retires. Listen, if Corey Heim was going to race at Gibbs in the Cup Series, he'd be in that 19 car already. He would have been,
Already.
he wouldn't,
Yeah.
Chase Briscoe wouldn't have gotten that ride. But guess
No.
what? He's never going there. He's
No.
not.
As long as Ty Gibbs is there, he's
Yeah.
never going
As
there.
long as Gibbs is on the outside of that building, he's not racing there. It's just not going to
It's
happen.
not happening.
No, they just don't like each other, which is fine.
Yeah.
I actually respect it from a Ty Gibbs standpoint. Hold a
Yeah.
grudge. I'm a
Yeah.
grudge guy. So if you're going to
Right.
hold a grudge that much, screw it. But I also think Heim should be in the Cup Series. There's
No
no
question.
question about that. Yeah.
None.
So
100%. He should 100% be in the Cup Series. And it's honestly like it's a yes, it's good for the Truck Series, but it's also not,
yeah.
right? Like that is where people go to learn and build and get better,
Yeah.
right? And yes, the Cup drivers come down and he
And he's
probably
beating
I'm
them.
not going to speak for him, but he probably will,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But he needs to be in a top series.
100%.
Has to be. He is too good to be where he's at.
Yep. I could not agree more.
All
So
right.
we'll see.
Next one. This was going to be a of the father son duos question, but then I got to thinking about it, and there's really only one father son duo that could do it. Do you think Kyle Busch will race long enough for him and his son to race together like Junior and Senior did?
In the Cup Series?
Yes.
No.
You don't think he will?
No, because I think Brexton's like 10 or 11 right now. So you're looking at another like 7 or 8 years before he can realistically or even legally be allowed to race in the Cup Series until he
Yeah.
turns 18. So you're going to look at like
Keep it Kyle Busch rule.
yeah, yeah, because of his dad,
Yeah.
um, hopping in that truck at Fontana for Roush, and they were like, "Wait a second,
Yeah.
16, he can't be going this fast."
16.
Yeah, um, yeah. So like a 47-year-old Kyle Busch, I just don't see him still being in the Cup Series at that point, unless he does like an open entry for like the Daytona 500, and like wants to run it,
So I thought
like that.
about that, but I was thinking more of like a full time driver type of
Oh,
thing,
okay, yeah. I
where
don't
they
think in the Cup
both had
Series.
full time rides.
No, not in the Cup Series. I think maybe you'll see that in the. Actually wouldn't be shocked to see that in the Truck Series. Like Kyle run a full truck season,
Full truck
just
season. And
because I I want him to do it because I think we all kind of know that he would probably dominate if he did do it, but he would become the first driver to ever win a championship in all three national touring series.
yeah, because he never won one in the truck series.
Yeah, and he's the only realistic chance of that happening. I guess. Yeah. Well, can Eric Jones do it? No, he never won a Cup champ or an Xfinity championship. So yeah, there's gonna be it'd be hard for anybody else to do it.
Yeah. Along those lines, then, of the current drivers, do you think they're current? I say all drivers, okay, in
Yeah.
NASCAR. Do you think there is one that can catch the 7 time or possibly get 8? And I know what your first reaction is, but I don't think it's right.
My reaction to getting to 8 is no. My reaction to getting to 7 currently is a yes.
And who?
Logano.
You
He's
think it'd be
already
Logano?
he's got his 3. If they stay with the current format, like he did last year, he only has to be good in 4 races. So
Yeah.
I think he can get it done. 2, he's a savage. He doesn't care about people's feelings. He's
He's awesome.
35.
He's an awesome dude, but on
Yeah.
the racetrack, he's a savage.
Yeah, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Um, he's only 35. Statistically, Cup drivers hit their peak at like age 37 through 39. So realistically, he hasn't hit his peak yet.
Which
He
is
could.
wild to think about.
I know he's been around for so long. I think it's crazy. His rookie year was 2009. He and Brad Keselowski won their first races the same year together. And we look at Brad and we're like, why hasn't he retired yet? Yeah.
That's wild.
3 first-time winners in 2009. David Rudiman, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski.
So I thought you were going to go the Kyle Larson route.
I don't think he gets to. I would actually be. This might be a hot take. I'd be shocked if Larson gets to 3 championships.
Really?
Yeah, he's just. Well, I say that now that we're going to move this championship race around. Maybe.
Maybe, right?
Yeah, but he's what 32 now.
Hmm. He's got one.
He's got one. He's really fast. Like he can absolutely win every single race, but they sometimes lack on execution.
Yeah.
And as people say, he steps on it, and that's kind of what happens. But I
Yeah.
think he maxes out at like three. That would be my max for him.
So my thought is I was thinking young drivers,
Yeah,
right? Like, is there a young driver out there that could do it and and could go on one of those historic runs where they just bam, 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 which
right.
right now might be hard, but like you think about, okay, and this is a hot take. I think, yes, you have your Corey Himes, yes, you have your Carson Hocevars. I think Jesse Love's right there up there with him.
You're a big Jesse Love
I am a
proponent,
huge
huge
Jesse
Jesse
Love
Love
guy.
fan.
I'm a
Um,
huge Jesse Love. I think Jesse Love in the long run will have a phenomenal career. Phenomenal career.
so I just looked at you were talking about young drivers real quick, and I think realistically, if you're going to get to seven, you have to start early on,
Yeah.
right? And Gordon won his first when he was 24.
Okay.
And then he tops out at four. Granted, you had some championship changes that happened in there. If you went
Hmm.
by Winston Cup standings, like he wins seven. But
Easy.
in the world that we're in, that's where it's at. So if you got to go with somebody that's young, let me see. I don't know what age Jimmy Johnson won his first in.
Yeah, but he
And
won what, five in a row or
five,
something like
that's
that?
never going to happen again. That's one
Never.
of those things that like we're just never going to see.
Yeah.
Um, no, give me the motorsport career result. He won his first one in 2006. Yeah, 2006. How old?
And the reason we'll never see it is because, we can't do things like putting gasoline inside of our fire suits to get better gas mileage.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you ever heard
So,
that story?
hang on a second. Jimmy Johnson was 31 when he won his
That's
first one.
wild.
I know. And then he went on to just rack them up so fast. But
That's
yeah,
wild.
so 2016, yeah, he was, well, yeah, 41.
He, wow.
He turns 50 this year. So yeah, that's crazy. Also, it's crazy that Jimmy Johnson, we're almost a decade away from him winning his seventh already.
You
I
make me
know.
feel old now.
I know. It's wild. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah,
went I went the young driver route of the Hosevars, the Jesse
Zillich,
Loves,
Jesse
the
Love.
Corey Himes, the Austin Hills, if we only race on super speedways.
Austin Hill's not even young. Austin Hill's
No.
32 years old. I think people forget that. They're like, oh, Austin Hill, like he's gonna be this young driver. Like, why hasn't RCR moved him up yet? He has a wife, three kids, a mortgage, and like
Hmm.
he's 32 years old already.
Yeah,
He's
he's
not,
older than me.
yeah, he's not young.
No.
Yeah, it's
So then the question is, does he stay in Xfinity and do like a what's his name in the truck series and stay there?
yeah. I don't think that he ever moves up, honestly.
You don't?
No. I think that he stays there. He signed a multi-year Xfinity deal, like
Yeah.
with RCR. And I think his sponsor's happy with him there. And for him, like we've seen him run select cup races. And granted, that third RCR car has not ever been good when it's
Yeah.
been entered outside of I think Will Brown like had a really fast practice time at Sonoma before that car had like tons of electrical issues. But even when like he's on super speedways in the Cup Series, he can't do the same things that he does
Yeah.
in Xfinity, and he's very much become like level with everybody else when he's up there. If I were him, I'd screw it. I'd stay down there.
Yeah.
Like
Win your
do the all guy.
championships.
Yeah, do the all guy,
Justin
win a
Allgaier.
championship because you're
Hmm.
still making a really good living, right? So he brings budget, so he's taking part of that budget out for himself. I'm assuming because that's what most pay drivers do, and he
Yeah.
probably has, I'm guessing, some sort of race winnings cut deal that he has with
I'm
RCR. So
sure.
like, yeah, guy's making a great life,
Yeah.
and yeah, he doesn't have to worry about it. Why go run last or like in the 30s when you
When you can
can
run
contend for
first.
wins? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always been my sort of thing with it,
Yeah.
but we'll see. You have any more?
That was it.
All right, real quick from me. Do you think Corey LaJoy wins in any of his
No.
next eight Truck Series starts?
No.
Not even at Talladega.
Nope.
Okay, I thought he was going to steal one on
You
Saturday. I
want
was
to you
like,
want to know why I say no? I think he could come close.
because Corey Haim exists.
but Corey Heim exists.
Yeah, yeah,
And not only that, not only does Corey Heim exist, but like you're going to get these drivers that are coming down, which Corey LaJoie is no slouch of a driver in himself,
no,
but you're gonna get these cup drivers that are gonna come down and do these races who are better than him,
yeah.
right? Like you're
I
gonna
think
get that, and it's gonna be good for him to be in the same truck for a while, and I think it's hilarious that it's a Spire truck. Um,
well, still under contract at Spire, so yeah. Hey, we're paying you. You got to hop
yeah,
in and do these. All right.
yeah.
But my only concern with them is that's the fourth Spire truck, so it's kind of it's the fourth one, right? It's the
Yeah.
forgotten about truck. He's probably has a development crew, I'm guessing, pitting that truck.
So it's gonna be a Hendrick crew.
Yeah,
Um,
but it's not a top crew
uh, it's probably no, because the crew that was doing the seven is now on Kyle
on
Larson's
the five.
car.
Yeah.
Um, which they're killing it. I think that's the same crew that does the 48 Xfinity, but I'm not 100% sure
Oh,
about
okay.
that.
The Sanchez car. Yeah.
I'm not 100%
All right.
sure, but I believe that's the same crew.
I don't think people understand the Hendrick pit crew business and how many crews they supply. Because
Um,
I'm friends with a couple people over there, and I think they have 16 crews this year that they're at least working out.
Probably close to it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Probably.
They
They, I think
supply
they
so
have,
many.
I think they have 60 guys over there, and that's
Pit,
not even including like their developmental guys. They do one of the Alpha Prime cars. They do, um, they do the 48. They do, what else do they do for Xfinity?
do they do the JRM cars?
Yeah, they do the
Yeah,
JRM cars.
yeah.
They do all the Spire trucks.
And then in the
They
Cup Series, you have all the Spire cars, you have all the Hendrick cars. I believe
Mhm.
the 47 comes from there
They
as
do the
well.
47
Yeah.
and they do the 78 when it runs.
Yep. Yeah, yeah.
They
I forgot
do the
about that.
44 when it runs. Like
How does the four? So you've been associated with this 44 team. This is actually going to be my last question. And where does their money come from?
their owners got a lot of money.
Okay. Because realistically, they shouldn't run as bad as they do because they spend money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, the car that they had in their last race, wherever it was built by Hendrick.
Yeah.
It was completely built by Hendrick. And like they've been running decent for what they're doing, and they're putting out the best paint schemes on the
They
track.
have great paint schemes. Yeah.
Like,
Their throwback paint scheme was the best. And it's like, well, it's going to run 40th, but screw it. It
yeah,
still looks great.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some of the guys that are on that car. I mean, they when I was on it, it was a lot worse. It's actually
Yeah.
pittable now, which is nice. But no,
You were
it's
on it last year,
it's
right? Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
did Daytona for him last year.
Okay. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Austin
The summer
or
race.
the August race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last one before we wrap this up here. Are you bummed to not go to Mexico this weekend?
Nope.
Nope.
Not even a little bit. I mean, the vacation would have been nice,
Yeah.
but other than that,
The hassle of it.
yeah, I mean, they've had to put in so much. I know one of my best friends has got an 80-page itinerary,
I
right?
I looked at going and I was like, maybe I'll go year two.
Yeah,
We'll let all the
yeah,
kinks get worked out.
yeah. And like it's like buying a new car. You don't want to go the first year.
No. Yeah, like I didn't go to Chicago the first year. I went to Chicago the second year. I'm going back again this year. And
Yeah,
everybody last year, I kept walking around talking to everybody on pit road that I know, and I was like, man, this event is great. Like this is fantastic. And
it was awful
they're
the
like, it was
first year.
awful the first year. They're like, it's so much better this year because they figured out the access points and everything. Because
hmm
the
I
Xfinity,
actually didn't go last year.
oh, you didn't?
Nope, I didn't
The
go last year. It was right after I got taken off my truck deal, and I was
ah,
getting on a new truck deal and a new Xfinity deal, and so I didn't. There's one race I've never done, and it's New Hampshire.
okay.
Never been to New Hampshire because every single year I've had something happen right before it, and like I was with an organization and me and the guy who runs it got butt heads, so I left that organization the week before New Hampshire, and then last year got taken off my truck deal the week before New Hampshire. So yeah, it's one
Did,
of those things where I've never been.
did you do Chicago in 23 at all?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you like,
I was on part of the crew that we did like half the laps and then they say we're done.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So you remember where the Xfinity haulers are parked at
Oh
back
yeah.
on
Back in BFE.
yeah, against the lake. Like it is not
Yeah.
close at all. They
No.
finally last year figured out how to open up the walls and like make the trip there like half the time that it was.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, "Oh my God, it's so much better." And I was like, "Wait a second, you guys had to walk all the way out and around
We were
DuSable, I think that's the road that it's on, and it's like Lakeshore Drive. It's the technical,
yeah,
it's like the real name for it. But yeah,
like the fastest if we didn't have like gear and stuff, I was walking through the fan zone.
that is the fastest way. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I was
That's
walking through the fan zone and then waiting at the bottom of the stairs because you have to wait for everybody. It got to the point where I was like, I have to get there. And I just walked around everybody.
so they finally this year, it's the last year, but they finally figured it out. So you remember like that big grandstand that they built behind pit road for it?
Where the guy died.
Yes. Yeah, well, we don't talk about that. But yeah, so but the only access point to your point there, you have to walk up and over the bridge, and it's
Mhm.
not a bridge big enough to hold a couple thousand people. Is how
No,
many are there, plus all of the regular people that are there on just GA tickets that go to the inside. So this year they took that big grandstand with all the hospitality suites and everything and put it on the other side, like where the fan zone side of the track
where
is
it should be.
where it should be. So you can just walk into the racetrack now and you don't have to go over any bridges to access the suites or the grandstand. So the pit road side is just going to have like the concert stage and people that should actually just be there.
Be there.
So it took 3 years, but we got it.
That race when they're coming up over the bridge and the sun's going down behind it, that's the best view
The
in
best.
NASCAR.
100%. There's
100%. I'm not a city boy by any means, but that is the coolest view. You see the buses going by.
the
That is,
train, the L's going by as well between the
yeah,
building. Yeah.
yeah, that is the coolest view. It'll
People
be
say there's
interesting to see where they go next year.
San Diego.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
I would absolutely, I mean, wherever they take the next street race go to, I'm gonna go the first year just because like I love this Chicago event so much. And like you, Chicago's fine. Like I do like Chicago as a city,
Yeah.
but like I don't necessarily have to go to a city, but it's the convenience of it is so nice. Literally, we stay across the street from the racetrack. We wake up in the morning, we
Just
cross
walk.
over 4 lanes of road and we're in the racetrack. And
I
it is
wish
so nice.
the one year I stayed there, we stayed 45 minutes away.
I heard that from so many guys last year because I was like, "Oh, where'd you guys stay at?" And they were like, "Oh, we stayed in, whatever." And I was like, "What? You guys drove here this morning?" Like,
Mm-mm.
I woke up
Yep.
30 minutes ago and then just, had breakfast and walked across the street. It's
Yeah,
great.
I wish. I wish.
Some teams do stay
Yeah.
right.
Hendricks. Your
Yeah.
Hendricks stay right
I
there.
think Haas did last year as
Hmm.
well. Well, I shouldn't say that. Some Haas people did that
Yeah.
I saw. They were at the Hilton, which is right
Yeah.
there. But yeah, if you're going to Chicago and you're a NASCAR fan, just hang out around the hotels right there because every driver stays right there.
Yeah.
Chicago Athletic Club is a big one. Blackstone, another big one where people are all going to be milling about. So if you want autographs or photos,
Michigan next week. Or not Michigan, excuse me. Michigan this
Mexico.
week.
Yes.
Mexico next week.
All right.
Should be interesting.
Pick your winners for your Xfinity and Cup, and then we're going to sign off of this.
Xfinity. I haven't looked at the entry list.
Suarez is racing instead of SVG. So I think
Is
that
that the
makes
only
your
wait, SVG's not running the Xfinity race?
no. So they swapped him out. They haven't announced that he's going to do another race, but I would not be shocked to see him show up at Portland. Well,
Okay.
I don't know. I would actually be shocked to see him there, but
I
I do
would because
expect
that's a one-off
it's a
race.
one-off. Yeah, unless
Yeah.
they're gonna. It depends on where he's at in points, but um, yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, they put Suarez in that car instead, which I was surprised by. But I think it makes for a really easy pick for who's going to win the Xfinity race. There's one clear choice here, Cameron.
I mean, there. Who?
Connor Zilic.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot he's running, isn't he?
Yeah.
I forgot he's running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's other people that are doing this race for seat time. Actually, C Bell's running it as well, but I don't expect him to be a contender. He's running for Sam Hunt to get more.
Is Chase Elliott running it?
No, I don't. The Hendrick 17 is not going.
Oh, it's not.
No,
Oh, I
not that
thought
I'm
it
aware
was.
of.
Okay.
Um, I don't think we're going to see a. They said that they're not putting any more Cup drivers in that car for the rest of the year, but I'm pretty sure we're going to see Chase at Pocono. but we'll see if that happens.
Screw it. Give me Josh Palicki.
Actually, Carson Quapple,
Yeah.
crazy fast at Coda. So maybe,
Yeah.
maybe. Cup side, this
SVG.
SVG. I
SVG.
I want to
It's
go with
it's it's gonna be an SVG and a Tyler Reddick show.
yeah. I think out of the Hendrick camp, because you have three guys at Hendrick that, well, actually, all four of them have won on road courses
Yeah.
now with Bowman.
Yep.
But I think you have to throw Larson and Byron somewhat in the mix
Hmm.
there a little bit. And then Chris Buescher, I mean, he took it to SVG last year at Watkins Glen.
He
Different
did.
types of road courses,
He
but
did.
yeah.
So,
Well,
but here's the thing is you're giving me a blank slate where nobody has driven it,
yeah,
right?
very Chicago
Very, very Chicago-ish, right?
in terms of like lack of track time. Yeah.
Exactly, right? And you're getting one of, if not the greatest current road course driver in the world, right?
Yep.
Like he's up there with them all,
100%.
right? Hot take, think he's better than Max Verstappen on the road courses because he can do it in more stuff.
He has done it more stuff. People don't actually realize that he has won an open wheel as well,
Yeah,
which is an F4 car in New Zealand, but hey, he still did it.
he's still
So,
done it. He's done it in more stuff,
yeah,
right? Yeah, don't get me wrong, Max Verstappen is Max Verstappen, but like SVG is SVG and it has done it everywhere.
yep,
Nobody else has driven this car at this track. And it's gonna be very, I think, very, very Chicago-esque, where he's not gonna practice the best, he's not gonna qualify the best, but when it comes down to it, he's going to be there.
100%. All right, we got to wrap this up because it just gave us a 1 minute warning here. You're taking SVG. I'm also going to take SVG for this one. This is what Trackhouse hired him for. He's going to get it done
Yep.
to lock himself into the playoffs. All right, follow. Well, you can follow myself at Break Hard. Do you want to give out your Twitter there, Cameron? If you want
Uh,
people to follow you,
I,
you don't have to.
I don't even know what my Twitter is,
Yeah,
to be honest.
that is fair. But yeah, you can find us there. We'll be back next week to recap Mexico as well. So.